Marketing, sales, and service seniors, welcome back. This is the last in a 6-part series for the Precision Exam Marketing 1 certification process. We have done Chapter 7, 9, 10, 15, and 16, and now the last, and not the least, but this Chapter 17 is on selling, so let's get into it. We have 3 sections. 7.1 is the value of selling. 17.2, we're going to talk about preparing for effective selling. And the last section, 17.3, is the selling process and sales support. Let's get this full screen for you guys and let's go. So in 17.1, we're going to talk about the value of selling. 17.1.1, we're going to define selling. 17.1.2, we're going to explain the advantages and disadvantages of personal selling. In 17.1.3, we're going to describe the need for salespeople to manage themselves, their customers, and marketing information. So, the personal selling process, our first term and definition is this, simply the word selling, and that is direct personal communication with a prospective customer in order to assess needs and satisfy those needs with appropriate products and services. Part of the personal selling process also is direct and personal communication in assessing and satisfying needs. So in terms of page numbers right now, we're talking about chapter 17 starting on 469. So 17.1.1, we are 469, 470, and parts of 471. So that's where you'll find more information about the direct and personal communication pieces of this and the assessing and satisfying needs part of the selling process. Having said that, we are at our first checkpoint question, and it is this: how does selling differ from other promotional methods? I'll give you time. I'll pause now so that you can get that answer in the preceding pages, 470, 469, and 468. Moving on to the next section, let's talk about advantages and disadvantages of personal selling. So here are some of the advantages of personal selling. It's informative, you get lots of information because it's usually one-on-one personal selling. The time, the flexibility, the feedback from your prospective customers, the persuasion part, and then being able to follow up even more than once sometimes. Some of the disadvantages include the cost per customer, because it takes time and that adds to the cost. Also controlling how you acquire that customer, and then skill level. Some people are really good at selling, some people are not. And usually it's, you choose to be in an industry where there are personal selling techniques that fit your personality type. So for section 17.1.2, checkpoint question is this: what are the advantages of personal selling over other forms of promotion? The details on this can be found page 471, 472, 473, and 474. I'll pause the video now so that we can go through that. Moving on to the next section, we're going to talk about personal sales management and the 3 things that are mentioned and talked about in detail on pages 474 and 475. And parts of 476 are self-management, customer management, and information management. So the checkpoint question related to those 3, and this is one of those questions where you'll have to actually go to the textbook for the answer. Identify 3 important elements of personal sales management. So you'll talk about those 3 and some of the things that are discussed in the textbook. I'll pause now so that you can do so. Moving on to the next section, we are at 17.2, and that is preparing for effective selling. So in 17.2.1, we're going to explain the ways by which salespeople come to understand their customers. In 17.2.2, we'll discuss why salespeople need to know their product thoroughly. And in section 17.2.3, we'll explain why it is important to understand the competition's products and marketing plans so that you can be more effective with the selling of your product and marketing plan. So 17.2 starts on page 478. Let's get into it. So understanding customers. To identify potential customers, there are a few terms that we're going to go through. So the word lead, definition is a potential customer for a salesperson. A lot of times leads can be provided a lot of times in the insurance companies. So Mr. Martinez, who's subbed for us before, actually is involved with some of these insurance policy companies, and you can actually buy lead lists, which gives you all the customer information, gives you email addresses, phone numbers, and the fact that they were interested first. So that's what a lead would be, a potential customer for a salesperson to sell to. Cold calling is a salesperson contacting a large number of people or businesses who are conveniently located without knowing a great deal about each one. Way different than a lead, because a lead has shown interest already. Cold calling is just picking up the phone or walking into a door and seeing what's out there. And then the textbook talks about some other sources of leads as well. Qualifying prospective customers. So two terms here with their definitions. One, qualifying. The definition is gathering information to determine which people are most likely to buy. And then there's prospect. It's a lead or a potential customer that has been qualified. Okay, under the subheading of understanding customers, you need to understand customer decisions, and so that is an acronym, AIDCA. In section 2.1, that is going to be talked about in detail on page 480, but basically AIDCA is attention and interest, and desire, and conviction, and actions. We're going to talk about those on page 480. Mental stages of consumer decision making. So this is an extension of what we were just covering in the last slide. So again, like I already mentioned, A, attention, I, interest, D, desire, C, conviction, and A for action. All of those things talked about on page 480 and parts of 481. Checkpoint question for 17.2.1. Name the 3 ways by which salespeople come to understand their customers. And I will pause the video so that you may go get that answer. Moving on to the next section, it's understanding the product. So product knowledge. You need to know the marketing mix information for your actual product or service, and then the informational sources as far as product catalogs and descriptions and that sort of thing. This section in the textbook starts on page 481 and goes through page 42 as well. Part of the understanding the product portion is communicating product information. So we have 2 terms here with definitions. One is feature definition, a description of a product characteristic. And 2, the benefit is the advantage provided to a customer as a result of a feature. Checkpoint question for 17.2.2. Why do salespeople need to tell customers about the benefit of a product feature? We'll pause now so that you may go write down a brilliant correct answer. Okay, moving on. Understanding the competition. It helps customers understand the differences among product choices, so that if you know your competition's service and or product, you are better able to compare and contrast advantages and disadvantages between yours and theirs. You can help and for those advantages and disadvantages, and by doing so, you're helping them make an informed choice. Okay, so checkpoint question for 17.2.3. Why is it necessary for a salesperson to understand competitors' products? I will pause now so that you may get that answer. Moving on to the last section here, 17.3. There are 2 different things that we'll talk about in terms of the selling process and sales support. 17.3.1 talks about identifying the 7 steps of the selling process, and 17.3.2 we will explain why salespeople need support from other areas of the business. So steps in the selling process, 17.3.1. This starts on page 485 and goes through 486 and 487, 488, 489, and parts of 490. So definition here, approach. The first contact with the customer when the salesperson gets the customer's attention and creates interest in the product. This could be a call, this could be in person, this could be an email. There's lots of different types of approaches. In retail selling, it's usually walking over to a customer, maybe think of the last time you were in a cell phone store possibly. And then you've got business-to-business selling, which I personally have loads of experience with. That's what I did before I was a teacher. I was in the marketing department, but also in inside sales for electrical connectors, selling from business to business and governments. Okay, so the other parts of steps in the selling process, we were determining needs. So definition for pre-approach, gathering preliminary information and preparing a preliminary sales presentation for a customer. Demonstration, a personalized presentation of the product features in a way that emphasizes the benefits and value to the customer. So this is where customers can actually ask questions and you can answer them. And then there could be some objections sometimes, and by demonstrating, those objections can hopefully go away because it's clearly answering or solving a problem for them. So answering a customer's questions, you listen first, you restate the question, you provide the information that answers their question, and then you check to know that you've covered all the ground that they're actually looking or asking about. Now closing the sale. The definition of close is the step in the sales process when the customer makes a decision to purchase. And then trial close is providing the customer with the opportunity to buy during the sales presentation. Okay, so here are some different methods for closing on a sale. So closing method, you can close on an important benefit, you can offer the customer a choice, you can provide an extra value, you can ask about the method of payment, you can emphasize availability, or you can guarantee satisfaction, or any combination of those things in order for you. And it's going to be different for every customer. Some customers could care less about extra value, and some people really are looking for the method of payment to be something that's important. Okay, so a couple more definitions in the selling process. Suggestion selling is offering additional products and services after an initial sale in order to increase customer satisfaction. You'll see this like at a fast food place. You'll be ordering a burger, they'll try to upsell you or suggestion sell you on like a dessert or some fries if you didn't get fries, that sort of thing. Definition of follow-up, making contact with the customer after the sale to ensure satisfaction. Checkpoint question for 17.3.1 is this: identify and describe each of the 7 steps in the selling process. I will pause the video now so that you may gather your wonderful answer. Okay, moving on to 17.3.2, which is the sales support section. So that could be the marketing information management, which often is the software and support staff. You're talking about financing, the pricing, the promotion, the product and service management, and the distribution part. 17.3.2 in the chapter starts on page 490 and goes through page 491. So you'll find the details of these different areas on those pages. And the checkpoint question for this section is this: why do salespeople need support from other areas of the business, including other marketing personnel? I'll pause the video now so that you may find that information on page 490 and 491. And that's it. That's chapter 17. That's the end of the series. We have covered chapters 7, 9, 10, 15, 16, 17, and by knowing the broad information in all of these, including the vocabulary and answering these checkpoint questions, we are going to be well on our way to earning our second certificate for some of us, having already done marketing fundamentals and now going after the more difficult and more prestigious one, Marketing 1 for Precision Exams. Thank you. I will see you in class. That's it.